Hello there. When you stand back and consider it, there are striking similarities between the Boris Johnson and Nicola Sturgeon sagas. Here we have Boris Johnson resigning in the face of a damning Banana Republic-style kangaroo court report, and Nicola Sturgeon being arrested as a suspect in the Operation Branchform police investigation into her party's finances. Two cases never looked so far apart. So why do I say there are striking similarities? Well, firstly, both seem to have a belief in their entitlement to rule their roost and to rule it their way, and both possibly brought down by it. Secondly, they both supported independence from outside interference for their bailiwicks, and both did so in a way that has annoyed the party that they say interfered with that independence. Johnson annoyed Brussels and Sturgeon annoyed Westminster, and boy were they both very good at that. And they both resigned unexpectedly before they could be pushed. The spouses of both of them appear to be an active part of their political processes, as well as both enjoying an encounter with the criminal legal process. And both have severely crippled the leader that replaced them. I bet Rishi Sunak and Humza Yousaf had almost identical thoughts in their brain once they went to bed last night. That of wishing their predecessor would be swallowed up by a big black hole, never to be seen or heard from again. And neither of them seems to have the full support of their respective parties' leadership at the moment. And further, the removal of Boris from the political chessboard has many people thinking that Brexit reversal is possible. And with Sturgeon gone, but making political waves, the Scottish independence cause has taken a bit of a hammering. You get the idea on the similarities. Now, the interesting thing will be if they both harbour the intent to make a return to frontline politics. Remember, neither Boris nor Nicola Sturgeon would have resigned had there not been some really compelling reason. Both resignations came, as I said, out of the blue. Now, when looking at Boris, he has almost made his ambitions clear by his actions and words, especially leaving Rishi facing 3 difficult by-elections, even though we're told that that was not coordinated in any way. And the Rishi Sunak response has been to come out fighting and accuse Boris of asking him to bend the rules with respect to his resignation honours list, where he said that Boris had asked me to do something that I wasn't prepared to do because I didn't think it was right. And if people don't like that, then tough. Not only that, but the message coming from senior Tories like Michael Gove and Grant Shapps is that the world has moved on from Boris Johnson, and it's now time to completely sideline him, and also that the Privileges Committee that defenestrated Boris was as clean as the driven snow. No bias there at all, they suggest. Now, in Nicola Sturgeon's case, due to the ongoing criminal law proceedings, it doesn't give Yousaf anywhere near as much room for manoeuvre. He's getting calls to suspend Sturgeon, but that would suggest he thought her guilty. And if he doesn't, will he be seen to still be in Sturgeon's pocket? But here's a thought. There's a lot of talk and allegations about Yousaf being Nicola's favourite to replace her, and that she and her husband Peter Murrell had a hand in making sure that happened. But why shoehorn someone known to many as Humza Useless into that job? Unless he was meant to be a temporary and easily dislodged cardboard placeholder. What if Nicola Sturgeon could feel the walls closing in, but felt the need to make sure that the job she thought was rightfully hers would be easily reclaimable once free of legal impediments? What better way than giving her party the choice between the wronged champion of Scotland and someone who splats themselves while riding a scooter in the Holyrood corridors and who hasn't managed to do much right during his entire political career. But to do that successfully, she would need to work on regaining some lost trust. And given what's been going on, I think Sturgeon's days as a powerful political force are now over. In both the Boris Johnson and Nicola Sturgeon cases, the window of opportunity to make any sort of comeback is fast closing, barring some momentous move. And in the case of Boris, that could be joining Nigel Farage's Reform Party. But Yousaf is probably hoping that Sturgeon, Peter Murrell and Colin Beattie will all be found to have no case to answer and that the whole case gets dropped. Because the possibility that must haunt the current SNP leadership is that if some wrongdoing is found, and someone, and it could be someone not yet interviewed by the police, if someone is found guilty of an offence here, one assumes that could open the door to civil litigation to reclaim lost money. I'm no lawyer, but if I thought I'd be wronged, I'd definitely look at the potential for that. And that would definitely put the SNP finances under a strain and potentially dry up future donations and membership dues. I presume people could do that anyway, but as I understand it, it becomes much easier with a criminal conviction thrown into the mix. We may have more interesting times ahead. And now to that perennial favourite, net zero. The National Grid has given the green light today to warm up a coal-fired power station. Yes, that's right. A coal-powered electricity generator is being put on alert to pick up the slack if needed. And why? Because the National Grid predicts a large increase in electricity consumption due to people firing up their air conditioning units today. And about as many using their electric fans as well. That's right. Our buildings must be far too efficient with all that insulation keeping the heat in. Great in winter, but... Anyway, I hear you cry, it's summer, and all that solar and wind power that must be circulating the grid must be able to supply the energy we need. Well, that, it appears, is not cutting the mustard. And I do have to wonder how much of the coal that unit uses is imported. I also wonder how many eco-loons are sat in air-conditioned houses or in their gas-guzzling air-conditioned cars on their journey to another day of obstructionist protesting. But doesn't that just illustrate the nuts of net zero?